listen-only mode.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you all for joining us today for this informative webinar with ARC's Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, Lori Reiches. We're really honored to have Lori with us to share her knowledge and insight into what I like to refer to as the new improved ARC. I have been working with ARC for the last 4 years doing some independent consulting, and I've had the privilege of getting to know and work with Lori and her team on a number of projects, and they've all been focused on reaching out and enabling you, the travel agents, to grow your respective businesses. So I want to say welcome to Lori and to thank her so much for taking the time to be with all of us today and to share your vision with us, Lori. I'm going to return the controls over to our webinar guru, Sandy Elson. But again, this is Joni Ogg, and I'm thanking you all for being with us today.
Thanks, Joni. Hi, everyone. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com, I want to welcome all of you to this wonderful webinar. As Joni mentioned, our speaker today is Lori Reiches, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for ARC. A little bit about Lori. Lori Reiches is responsible for ARC's agency and carrier participation programs, including agency accreditation, airline ticket sales settlement, fraud prevention, and customer support services. The operations team delivers a wide range of additional products and business management solutions, generating revenue and improving efficiencies for travel agencies, airlines, and other suppliers, further increasing the value of ARC's customers, the value that ARC's customers receive from their relationship with ARC. Ms. Reiches spent 16 years with Sato Travel Navigant prior to joining ARC in 2005. She last held the position of Vice President, Account Management, with responsibility for some of the firm's largest multinational clients. An innovative and dedicated leader, Lori brings considerable product management, call center operations, quality management, marketing, and client service experience to her current role with ARC. Before we get started, please remember that you are all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions at any time in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of Lori's presentation, we will get to as many questions as we can. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Lori so she can get started, and I'll be back a little later with your questions. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you, Joni and Sandy, for such a warm welcome, and thanks everyone who's joined the webinar. I'm really looking forward to having this opportunity to talk to you about the new ARC, and also I hope to take lots of your questions. So that's really the purpose of this webinar, is to help you really know what ARC is all about today. We often find that people in our industry know ARC or think they know ARC, but they actually only know a little bit about us, or they may have a very dated view of who we are. So again, I really welcome this opportunity. Let's jump in. First of all, kind of where did it all start? A lot of times people don't know how ARC actually came to be. We were incorporated in 1984. We're an airline-owned corporation. But our ticketing, reporting, and settlement functions began long before 1984. So just a little bit of a trip down memory lane. In 1956, it was actually Braniff that said to the Air Traffic Council conference that, it was really hard for agencies and airlines in this booming 1950s time of air travel to work efficiently together because, back in those days, every agent had to have a ticket stock for every single different carrier. And so in 1962, the Standard Ticket and Area Settlement Plan, which we call the ASP, was created. A couple years later, in October of 1964, this Standard Area Ticket Settlement Plan that used a standard ticket stock was actually implemented. And so the 50th anniversary of really agents being able to issue tickets for lots of different airlines on one standard document was last year. The next couple of decades really represented a lot of improvements in automation and electronic kind of reporting. And the other big event was the airline deregulation in 1978. Had a major impact on ARC, our company itself, because it led to the creation of the Airline Reporting Corporation. We actually started in business in 1984, so last year was our 30th anniversary of actually existing as a corporation. But again, this whole part of the industry and the way it all worked started 50 years ago. And one of the questions that people often ask when they're trying to understand sort of the big picture about ARC, not only how did it come to be, but is really around the difference between ARC and IATA. So I like to just spend a minute on this. The ARC is responsible for accrediting travel agents and handling all the ticket sales, settlement, and the distribution of the monies from those agency-driven tickets in the United States, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and America Samoa. IATA does that same thing for travel agents and airlines everywhere else in the world outside of the U.S. In ARC, we have an ARC number. But where it can get complicated or confusing for people is we actually get that number from IATA. So sometimes people will talk about an ARC number as an IATA number. That's not inaccurate, but it is an ARC number. The reason we get them from IATA is they actually manage a global number database. And the reason for that is airlines worldwide want to make sure that there's no duplication in agency identification numbers. So when an agent becomes accredited at ARC, you apply for accreditation for an ARC number. We then just go to IATA behind the scenes saying, we need a new number for this agent. So that's kind of how that IATA number, ARC number works. Another point of confusion sometimes potentially for agents in the U.S. is IATA also offers something they call an IATAN card, and that is available to agents in the U.S. It is different than accreditation for a ticketing appointment or authority to issue an airline ticket, but it does identify an agent as being a professional agent. And if a U.S.-based agent with an ARC number applies for an IATAN card, the number that shows on that card will be the ARC number. So I realize this can be a little bit confusing. I'm happy to take any questions about that, but it's typically something that I like to try to explain. And just a little bit from our formation in 1984, a few of the major highlights for us in our growth over the last 30 years. Electronic credit card billing process sounds small, but in 1989 it was a really, really major big thing. 90% of the transactions that flow through the ARC system now are done on credit cards. So in our part of the world, credit card form payment is probably the primary form of payment. 1995, for those of you that have been in the industry for a while, was a real pivotal year in the industry. First of all, travel agents issued the first electronic ticket that year, but probably more importantly, that's the year in which airlines started reducing their standard 10% commission to travel agents. And by, I think, probably 4 or 5 years later, that was down to 0%. That does not mean that travel agents in the U.S. do not earn commissions and incentives from airlines. They do, but those are negotiated one-off. In 1995, the process of having a standard commission on every airline ticket began to be eliminated. And what that meant for travel agents is literally overnight, they had to think about, how am I going to sustain my business? I'm no longer getting, a full 10% commission on every airline ticket. And that's when travel agents began to charge a professional service fee. So they would charge their clients for that. Most of you on the phone probably do that. We'll talk more about that later in this presentation. But because of that was happening in the industry, there was a lot of agents who were caught kind of unawares with this change. And we ended up implementing the Travel Agent Service Fee Program as a result, which would allow agents to use the ARC merchant agreement to process their service fees. Again, we'll talk more about that later. The next few years that are highlighted here have a lot to do with just creating a more efficient electronic system for agents. Interactive agent reporting, electronic sales reporting started in '97. By 2005, we had it all web-based, so agents could submit their sales reports wherever they were in the world, where they could get on the internet. 2007, I think, is a very important year. We introduced our VTC program, that's a Verified Travel Consultant Program. I'm going to talk about that more later. And more lately, 2012, 2014, we've really started to see a processing of EMD transactions. EMD stands for Electronic Miscellaneous Document. This industry loves our acronyms. But that document is intended to improve agents' ability to sell ancillary services. So there's an airline ticket, but often there is the opportunity to sell a preferred seat, a bundle, a baggage fee, that sort of thing. EMDs, while we're happy that we saw 100,000 EMDs processed last year, we are woefully behind in the U.S. compared to the rest of the world when it comes to travel agents being able to sell ancillary fees. I'm going to talk more about that later in the presentation as well. So just again, a little bit more about ARC. We have 380 employees. About half of our employees are based in the Washington, D.C. area. We're headquartered in Arlington, Virginia. We also have a data center in Louisville and a development center where most of our IT development is done in Tampa. We also have a small operation in Puerto Rico to handle agency sales and services in that part of the world. Some interesting just facts about the agency business here at ARC. The top 20 agencies now represent about 70% of the total airline ticket sales through ARC. So we have seen not only airline consolidation, with the big six becoming now the big three, American, Delta, and United, we also have seen a tremendous amount of consolidation with agencies. On the other hand, we do have almost 13,000 travel agencies in the ARC system, so there's lots of thriving agencies at all sizes in the ARC system. And total sales of airline tickets through ARC, through travel agents, are about a little less than 50% of all tickets sold in the United States. So the difference really there is airline tickets that are sold directly by the airline on their website. And also, of course, we do not have Southwest currently, do not have Southwest Airlines in our system. We're working on that. We think that we continue to advocate for travel agents with airlines, that the best way for an airline to grow their business is to become an ARC participating airline so that ARC participating agencies can sell their tickets. We also have, you may not know, about a $13 million data business. We at ARC have a partnership with IATA when it comes to data on behalf of our airlines. We house at ARC all the airline industry data that worldwide. That includes all travel agency sales, both in ARC and IATA, and about 40 airlines, pretty large ones, their data from their website sales. The reason we do this is ARC really is a place where both airlines and agencies can find a lot of efficiencies. And airlines like to buy their own data. They like to, under certain conditions, they're allowed to buy data about the overall market. They use that data to help plan, the routes. They think about capacity. They think about, how many aircraft should we buy? Where do we think we want to get new gates? They want to understand the market, and they want to understand how they're performing in the market compared to other airlines. And so that's really what that data business is all about. Our vision, the vision of ARC today, is to engage the world with winning travel data and settlement solutions. And that vision would have looked different a few years ago because we were not in that partnership with IATA when it comes to a worldwide data business. And we are also very engaged with IATA and travel agencies around the world in trying to improve our settlement solutions. An agency, often agencies based here in the United States, do a lot of business outside of the U.S., and we want their settlement experience and the processes and the rules and the things that they need to deal with to be as efficient and consistent as possible. So we really are engaging the world. I think for those of you that have been around for a while, I think ARC is a lot more visible. We're a lot more engaged. We're showing up quite differently in the industry. pleased that Joni said that in the opening, and want everyone on this webinar to know that we are completely committed to this vision. And our mission is to simply have the most talented, motivated people possible, and we want to build here in the U.S. the world's best settlement system for airlines and agents. And this goes beyond just being the best at airline ticket settlement. For us to be the best at airline ticket settlement, we have to have a really thriving agency customer group that is doing airline ticketing, but is also growing in other ways. And we are very committed to travel agency revenue growth, both with airline ticketing and beyond. And we are also committed to having the most secure and trusted source of airline data for customers, really around the world. Some of the customers who buy data from us are interested in where should they advertise, where are people flying from, where are people not flying from. There's a lot of people who are, their livelihood depends on our industry, and they need data to build their business. So that's a big part of what ARC is up to today as well. A little bit more about us. Our board of directors, we are owned by the airlines, by these airlines. We have these shareholders. They are all US-based airlines with the exception of Air Canada. And the reason Air Canada is one of our shareholders is back when ATC was formed, way back when, on that earlier slide in the 50s, Air Canada became part of the, actually as the American traffic conference, so American Airline Traffic Conference. Each of these carriers have one share. We also have non-shareholder members of our board of directors. That's really the three big international carriers, Air France, Lufthansa, and British Airways. So our current ARC participants, we have 201 airlines, and we have 9,400 travel agencies with 13,000 points of sale. So any given agency can have more than one point of sale, and that's how those two numbers reconcile. With $90 billion worth of carrier tickets transacted through ARC last year. This airline growth has been significant. Just 10 years ago, we had maybe 130 airlines in the system. Now there are so many airlines that are joining that don't even fly in or out of the U.S., but they want to conduct business with U.S.-based travel agents. We fully anticipate that number to go up another 10 to 20 carriers over the next couple of years. And I will say that consistently every airline that joins our system will say that their business has, through travel agents in the U.S., has far exceeded their expectations. So there are really two primary benefits of participating as an agency with ARC. First, you get that unique ARC number. It gives you the ability to work directly with suppliers. You have your own identity in the industry. And for many agents, they will tell us the chief benefit of that is they don't have to split their commissions with anyone else. They own that direct relationship with their suppliers. And being an ARC agent allows you to get access to a number of products and programs and services that we'll talk about more in this presentation. We offer two types of agency participation. First is the ARC accredited agent. And these agents have the authorization to directly ticket through a GDS. So you can provide full ticketing services to your clients. Now, an agent can subscribe to a GDS and use it for information-only purposes. But if you want to be able to make a booking and issue the airline ticket and have the rights then to refund it and exchange it on behalf of your customer, make changes to that ticket, you have to be an accredited agent. So when an agent applies for accreditation at ARC and we approve the application, then we inform the GDSs that this agent here with this new ARC number has ticketing authority. We have, like I said, just under 13,000 accredited agents, and we do require as part of that accreditation a collateral. So think of airline ticketing rights as having, access to all this airline inventory, and the reason we collect this collateral is for cash sales. We calculate that collateral based on sort of the volume of cash sales that an agency produces. The intent here is to be able to cover any cash sales for a 3-week period. and if anyone's interested in that, we go into that detail later. The other program is the newer one, which is a verified travel consultant. And so the difference is you get an ARC number. It just has the same legitimacy. There's the same, we have a credit and background check to give you that number, the VTC number as well. The only difference is you're not authorized to issue an airline ticket through the GDS. Many agents who participate as a VTC in our program will handle airline arrangements for their customers. They may book on the carrier website. They may work through a tour company to get the airline tickets that are required for their customer, but they themselves can't go into a GDS and issue the ticket. This program started initially because we had a number of travel agents in our system who no longer issued airline tickets. They worked with tour companies, or they were really working, they had become a niche cruise business. They realized they just really didn't need to have that ticketing authority more, but they wanted to keep their ARC number because they've been in business for a long time. That's the way suppliers knew them. They saw a lot of value in the number. So that led to the development of the VTC program, and today we have about 1,600 accredited VTCs. And we continue to see growth in that program. We think it's an ideal program for an agency that wants to have their own independent identity, but isn't looking for offering the airline ticketing services. The reason we think this works for you is, again, we get to work directly with suppliers. Any agent can apply. We don't just give a number out without going through an application process. As I said, there's a credit check and a background check, but it's a fairly simple process, and you will have that ability then to kind of get full benefit of any commissions that you earned. You can place this VTC mark on your agency's website. We have something on our website where suppliers can go and check to see if a ARC number, whether it's for of any VTC or an accredited agent with ticketing rights, are in good status. And so we have several thousand hits to that website every month. Suppliers checking, hey, this is an agent that I'm interested in working with. Are they in good standing? And as a VTC, you have access to some of our best products and services. If you're interested more on participation, like you want a deeper dive into how that all works, Joni's actually going to have a newsletter article coming out shortly that's going to have some more information about it. And we also have a participation website with lots of detail. So how does ARC really add value? First of all, we do a lot of work around industry analysis, and we offer a number of revenue generating services. We also provide fraud prevention services, because when an agent does take on the responsibility of ticketing, there are things to consider. One of those being fraud, and we want to make sure our agents are protected, and we do a lot of monitoring and education around that. I'm going to talk about it more. And we also know that with airline tickets can come debit memos. Debit memos are the plague of our industry, and a few years ago we said enough is enough, and we assembled a debit memo working group to really try to reduce that the occurrence of debit memos. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And we sit in the middle of a lot of industry entities, airlines, agencies, GDSs, credit card companies, and we have really part of our raising our profile in the industry that's been happening for the last few years is really trying to become more of a thought leader and get people more engaged in talking about topics and helping to facilitate that business between agents and airlines and others. So we really have 4 what we consider must-have products for agents that participate at ARC. I have these listed in, I think, order of importance, and in terms of the amount of money that they can help you generate for your business. First and foremost is the Travel Agency Service Fee Program. We are very proud of this program. Probably 80–90% of the agents that participate at ARC use our service fee program. I'm going to talk more about it in a minute. The ARC Marketplace is a little bit newer, but also just as compelling in terms of revenue generation for agents. The transaction history file is more information for you, and the agency list is information about you for suppliers. So let me take each of these in order. As I said, our product that delivers the most revenue for travel agents is the travel agency service fee program. It's web-based. You can do it through a GDS, or you can use a web tool called Agent's Choice. It's really an ability for an agent to accept your customer's credit card as a form of payment for any travel-related transaction. It's up to $10,000 a transaction. So lots of agents use it to process tour deposits and those sorts of transactions. But its primary purpose and its original purpose is a way for you to charge your customers for your professional service fee. You don't have to use the travel agent service fee program, but I hope every single agent that's on this phone is charging their customers a professional service fee. You absolutely deserve this. I know we've talked to lots of agents who have found it challenging to implement with their customers, but when you get to the other side of that, you will be rewarded for your time and effort. And I can tell you that it's become a very major source of revenue for travel agents, because you are professionals. You spend time researching, consulting, assembling the trip, servicing the trip, and if you're not doing it, I'm begging you to please do it. You don't have to do it with us, but it's just so important for the credibility of our industry and for your business. So if you want more information about the Travel Agent Service Fee Program at ARC, we would be delighted to share that with you, and there's a link here that you can follow when you get this presentation to get you more information on our website. The ARC Marketplace. I love the ARC Marketplace. We started this a few years ago. We were talking to agents when we were trying to broaden our engagement with travel agents beyond sort of the core ticketing settlement. What we heard was one of the biggest opportunities and challenges for agents was booking activities and tours for their customers that were not easily available in a GDS, or available on websites but not in a consolidated fashion. So we created the ARC Marketplace, and we have literally tens of thousands of activities in 1,000 destinations and 150 countries, and every one of those is commissionable. And the good news, the other thing we heard when we talked to agents, is that when they did book destination activities and tours, things like that for their customers, it was such a hassle to chase their commissions. So we are working with the providers of these services to get your commissions. We get the commissions, we reconcile them, make sure you've gotten what you should have gotten, and you paid for those commissions through our systems. The Marketplace also offers airport transfers, car rentals, passport and visa. Visas and passports pay nice commissions for agents as well. So really, if you're not using ARC Marketplace, haven't heard about it, I really encourage you to check it out. We're redesigning it to make it even more easy to navigate, providing you more information about destinations so that you can really be an expert. Tell your customers the 3 must-sees in this location, even if you've never been there yourself. It's really a great program. And I will tell you that, a little secret is that you actually don't have to participate with ARC to use the ARC Marketplace. You can just register and get I can't remember what we call it, like an ID number. Certainly, we want you to be a full member of ARC, be accredited. You will get higher level commissions and some extra incentive programs now and then if you are, but any agent is welcome to use the ARC Marketplace. And it might be a nice way for those of you that don't belong to ARC to kind of check out one of our services and see what you think. If you're an an ARC agent that does have the ticketing authority, sort of the full accreditation, the transaction history file is a very modestly priced product, but it's really valuable for you to be able to see all the transactions that you processed through ARC for the last 3 years. Many agents will get questions from customers about an old transaction, and having that information available at your fingertips through this file can be very useful if you're in the ticketing business. And last but not least is the agency list. Both VTCs and agents accredited with a ticketing authority are on the ARC agency list. We have hundreds of entities that subscribe to this list because they want to know which agents have the sort of ARC stamp of approval. Airlines buy this list, hotels buy this list, destination management organizations buy this list, cruise lines buy this list, tour suppliers buy this list. Some of these entities only buy it once a year, which can lead to a little bit of frustration if you join the program mid-year, but most of them buy it monthly and some even weekly because they want to keep their records up to date. And by the way, there's no cost to you to be on that agency list. That is part of your participation. So assuming that you are interested in airline ticketing appointment or have one already, I want to make sure that I share with you what we're doing to help deal with the downsides of airline ticketing. There are many, many upsides. Your ability to service your customer is far greater if you can make reservations for them, issue the tickets, exchange them, and refund. But there is fraud, and we want to make sure agents are protected. We have 3 years of ticketing data in our warehouse, and we have a team here at ARC that is always monitoring transactions, and if we see something that seems out of norm for your agency, we're on the phone. Let's say, for example, we see that you've never issued any tickets to a particular country in Africa, but this last weekend, all of a sudden, 2 bookings were made in first class. We will be emailing and on the phone to get to that owner or the designated manager that we have in our system to say you need to get in there and see what's going on with those tickets. We also investigate phishing emails. This is the #1 way agents are being defrauded today. They are getting phishing emails from suppliers. It looks like it's coming from an airline, from a tour company, from a GDS, asking the agent to log in from a website in our industry. There's lots of websites in our industry that you probably use. It will look totally legitimate, and you will think, oh, I need to log in, because you're being encouraged to log in to do something. And once you do that, you've given up your login credentials, and then the hackers are into your system. So we are investigating those whenever we become aware of them, which is, fortunately, I will tell you that it appears to be a handful of bad actors in this business targeting our industry, and we've worked with law enforcement, and we've got a couple of them in jail and a couple more I would say more neutralized in their ability to do this. So it's good that seems to be reducing the amount of phishing emails the last couple of months. We've really seen a decline since some legal action has taken place. But the truth is that our industry, there's a lot of money flowing through our industry. It's lots and lots of stuff done online, and as an industry, we've got to be vigilant about fraud prevention, and we see our role here at ARC as a critical element of our role is to try to protect both our agent and airline customers. And so those kind of things going on with our fraud prevention team. We also work on behalf of the industry with law enforcement as a whole. What happens often is that there'll be fraud with an agency, and where an agency has been hacked and been the victim of fraud, and it's relatively small. It might be a $1,000 ticket that got issued, or something that to law enforcement looks small. To a small independent business, losing $1,000 is a big deal. So what we do is we look for those connections. We link those smaller cases together to build a larger case, and we've had a lot of success in working with law enforcement to get them to take a case that's on a local basis may look small, but we can actually get it more to a federal level of law enforcement. So that's something that we feel really good about doing on behalf of the industry. I don't want to scare anybody. The fraud in our industry, in the scheme of things, against $90 billion in air sales, is very small. But like I said, if it hits you and hits your business, it's a big deal. And so it's a big part of our commitment to the industry is to try to, it's never going to be zero, but to shut every loophole down and make sure that all of our participants, agents and airlines, have got the most recent information and education about fraud prevention. And so on that note, where you can get educated, we put out alerts in our weekly travel agent communication. This is an email newsletter. We will give the specifics, like there is somebody calling agencies in Minnesota saying they're from XYZ Corporation. take care. We also have email fraud alerts that are even more timely than weekly if something's hot happening. We also have a fraud prevention page on our website. And we will be running educational webinars for fraud again this year with Joni, so we just haven't scheduled those yet. We did a number of those last year at various industry events and got good remarks about how helpful that was. And if you ever have anything that you think looks like fraud, or if you've had fraud in your agency, let our fraud prevention team know. I've got their web address here. Even if it's something that's already happened and you've taken your lumps and had to pay whatever happened, it can really help us because any tidbits of information, the names of the individuals, the emails used, things like that can help us prevent another agent from becoming the victim of fraud. So not to be, a real Debbie Downer here, but the other problem with airline ticketing that can happen is there can be debit memos. Something doesn't get priced correctly, the taxes weren't programmed correctly, the agent makes an error in calculating the fare. And lots of other reasons. We were frustrated here at ARC a few years ago because we could see debit memos were growing and there wasn't really an industry solution. Obviously, airlines working individually with different agents and working with the GDSs, because sometimes it's a GDS programming problem that led to the debit memo, but there wasn't really a place to come together. So we decided to do that. And we created a debit memo working group, and just you can see here some of the very active participants in the group. And it was a first for ARC to have all of these airlines and agencies and GDSs together to talk about, what is it, the dirty laundry of the industry. People don't really want to talk about debit memos. They hate that they're happening, but they don't want to talk to each other about them, is what we thought would happen. We got everybody in the room, and they just were like, here's what's going on. How do we fix this? This is what I'm seeing. It's been great, and we've been working together now for a couple of years and making some real solid progress on debit memos. And the reason it matters is because they're big numbers. In 2012, there was $100 million in debit memos issued against a $90 billion in sales. And some might say, from a big picture perspective, that's, not an alarming number, but because it's been, a very manual kind of process to research them and try to resolve them in the past, there was about $40 million in industry overhead being spent just to try to deal with that $100 million in debit memos. So that really alarmed us. Now, in 2013, memos increased to 169 million. Now, part of that's because the economy was getting better and we saw sales go up. But one of the big learnings for us in 2013, for example, is that roughly half of the memos are auto-priced. That means the agents used the GDS, issued the ticket at the price that the GDS says is correct, and that yet got a debit memo. So that really helped us to understand where we could go to try to improve systems and processes so that you don't get those debit memos in the first place. And then, of course, over half of the debit memos were manually priced. That means really the agent made an error. So you solve that through education and training. So lots and lots of things have been happening with the working group. And if you're interested in more about debit memos and the debit memo working group, I can definitely get you plugged into more information about that. And I will just tell you that the Debit Memo Working Group is actually meeting here in our office in Arlington, Virginia next week. And their big focus now is to create an industry-wide standards for the reasons for which a debit memo is issued. Because one of the biggest challenges is that there's no standard reasons. There are reasons for why the debit memo is being issued, but as an agent or an airline, it's not easy to really look at what's the root cause because we don't have good data to do that analysis. So that's a big lift for the working group this year. So turning attention from more from the sort of the part of the industry to the more interesting stuff, which is growth. ARC sits in the middle of a lot of conversations, and we're facilitating a lot of new communication between agents and airlines and others about distribution trends. How is this industry growing? The biggest thing that everyone is talking about right now is NDC, and that stands for the New Distribution capability. And it's really all about the changes that are coming to our industry and what consumers want. Today, travel agents have very little access to what we call rich content. Selling Wi-Fi, check bag fees, fare bundles, upgraded seating, and there's a dichotomy for the consumer between what they see on an airline website and what an agent can actually do for them easily. If a customer that's working with a travel agent wants to work with a travel agent, but the travel agent needs to be able to have access to all of the airline options that are available for that customer. So NDC is really about trying to progress that from a technology perspective and from a distribution perspective. So one of the things we've been doing is really trying to help everyone in the U.S. travel industry that cares about this topic to get together and become more educated about what's the possibility and how do we get there. So we have spent, this is just a couple of slides from some very detailed presentations around NDC that we do, but as a high level, NDC impacts airlines, agencies, corporate travel managers, and GDSs, everybody in the travel distribution channel. And its purpose is really about product differentiation and improving time to market. When an airline has a new option for customers that they want their agents to be able to sell, kind of in the traditional technology model today, it's really all just about fares and seats. That's about it. Schedule, fare, and seat. With airline websites and with NDC, it's about offering more bundles, more information, and I think most important for agents, more visuals. You can actually see, that this particular flight has this aircraft and this is what that seat configuration looks like. So this is all the promise of NDC, is that product differentiation and improving time to market. And it's, in a way to think about it, is your traveler, your customer, when they buy travel, is sort of as one kind of experience. When they're on Amazon, it's a different kind of experience. And the industry believes, and I'm an adherent of this, that there's a lot of dynamic change that needs to come to our part of travel industry, that agents and airlines need to be able to provide customers with a better experience from the upfront, sort of looking at the options, booking, ticketing, through to the end. So the future is not quite here yet, but with NDC, there is the idea is there's all this content that we want to have the ability to transact through ARC so that travel agents can sell these services to their customers. We have a white paper. If you know nothing about NDC, don't worry about it. It's still really a new topic in the industry, and it's much more, at this point, theoretical than it is real. But we do know that it's coming. We are testing NDC files with carriers who want to transact business with agents on a broader basis and sell more services beyond just the airline ticket to customers via agents. NDC is for travel agents. So if you're in the airline ticketing world and you don't know anything about NDC, you're not behind the curve, but you may want to just get plugged in, and we have a white paper that sort of takes you through the basics that's available on our website. And the last thing I kind of want to really talk about is our connection with the industry through an event. Last year was our first customer conference where we brought agents and airlines together. It was really a hit. We had a couple hundred people, got great, Joni was there. We got lots of really positive feedback, so we're definitely coming back again this year. We've scheduled it for October in Washington, which is a lovely time of year. And we hope to have at least that many people, if not more. And it's a really wonderful opportunity to network with other professionals from the travel agency perspective, your airline partners, others in the industry. You definitely get one-on-one time with ARC people. If you have anything you're interested in learning about from products, services, we have all the hands-on demonstrations available, and we have some really cool sessions we're putting together. We'll definitely have a session on what's going on in distribution, whether that's NDC or EMD. We've got stuff on fraud prevention, security, revenue growth, really a couple of really inspiring speakers that are not in our industry, but that just really bring you kind of a motivational perspective as leaders. That can be really. I've seen these clips. I'm really excited about the speakers this year. So registration has opened. It just opened, I believe, yesterday, and it's available on our website. So I would encourage you to come check that out. And so really, that's where we're at. You know where we've been. We've got that history and carrier ticket settlement that goes way back, but we've added a lot of new services in the more recent years. And we are all about trying to grow the agency business. Here, although we're airline owned, and I will fully say that in the past we had a more airline-centric view of the world, that's the old ARC. The ARC of today knows full well that without agents, there's no ARC. And a thriving agency community means a lot of really interesting and fun stuff for us here to do at ARC, and so we're fully committed to that. We want to continue to diversify our products based on what customers need and really grow our partnership with the agency channel. We've recently introduced a new role here at ARC. It's Agency Account Manager. We've hired John Pittman from formerly with ASTA to be one of those account managers for agents. He's brought a wonderful perspective to ARC. We're really committed to serving our agency customers well. So with that, I want to kind of turn it over to questions for the last 15 minutes or so.
Great. Thank you so much, Lori. That was really information-packed and a wonderful presentation. I know a lot of our agents are particularly interested in ARC Marketplace and in your efforts towards fraud prevention, and we actually have webinars on those particular topics. Joniog, do you want to come back in and give the dates for those webinars that we have? Joni, are you muted? Okay, well, we have dates for those webinars that we will be emailing to everybody. And also be aware that we are recording this webinar if you want to go back and look at it again and pick up some of the information you may have missed. You can view the webinar in the travel professional community in our videos section. You can view it on www.homebasedtravelagent.com and on Tom Ogg's YouTube channel. So you can look at all this terrific information again. Lori, we've had some questions about the relationship between ARC and IATA and the card. Can you go over that again? A lot of agents are asking if they can get an IATA card if they're a member of ARC.
Yeah, so I can fully appreciate that's confusing. When I started here, it took me a while to figure it all out. If an agent wants an IATAN card, they have to apply for an IATAN card, and there is a form and a process and a fee, and I don't actually know what that is right off the top of my head. If you are an ARC accredited agent, you would supply that information on that application for the IATAN card. So it is, what I understand about the IATAN card is some agents want to have that because suppliers may ask for an IATAN card, or it helps with just identification. We don't provide a ARC card like IATAN. We looked at that in the past, but we felt like sort of the horse was out that door because already many ARC agents also will hold an IATAN card for when they want to travel and identify themselves as suppliers. We also hear plenty of ARC agents say, none of my suppliers require that if I want to go take advantage of a discount or a FAM or something like that. So I wouldn't. I think my honest perspective on it is you don't have to have an IATAN card to get any of the benefits of the industry that might be available. So you might want to check on that before you apply, but certainly if it's something that you want and you think would be useful, you know, we would not in any way discourage you from doing that.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
Excellent. I think it does. Lori, a home-based travel agent who belongs to a host agency, how would they get to utilize the benefits of ARC?
That's a great question. And I think that if you're a home-based agent with a host, I think you need to think about what you need for your business. You know, when you belong to a host, typically the host is going to have the identity with the supplier. There may be some additional identity that each participating agent in the host is provided with. We do have agents that are typically a VTC who also participate with a host, and I think that they make sort of individual decisions about when they want to utilize the services that they procure from their host agency versus when, for certain transactions or working with certain customers, they want to have their own identity. So it's doable. I think you'd have to really look at whether that makes sense for you, because there's a membership with VTC and then there's a membership with the host. I would tell you that we think VTC is a program that's best for an agent that really feels confident and comfortable being independent. That doesn't mean you have to be seasoned. We have VTCs that have just joined the industry who are, you know, creating booming businesses, but they've got a comfort level and a confidence level in what they're doing that they don't feel like they need the host. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the host agencies that are out there. They provide, you know, great products and services to support their agents. If you are an agent that's kind of new to the business and you think you want a lot of training on, you know, how to handle your business, how to get comfortable as a travel agent, we don't provide any of that kind of thing here at ARC. So the host can be a great option for someone who, you know, is looking for a lot of that kind of support and training.
Okay, excellent. Does ARC Marketplace have a liaison with all carriers or most carriers, or about what percentage of carriers?
So that's a great question, and I'm really glad someone asked that, because I don't think I did a very good job explaining it. The marketplace has nothing to do with airlines. It is really and check it out so that it'll make more sense to you if you just pop online and check it out. But it's really primarily destination activities. So let's say you're sending your clients to Rome, and let's say you issue their airline ticket, or you you know, you did some sort of a package for them, but you realize, you know, they want to do some stuff that's not included in that package, or certainly they want to do stuff more than just fly to Rome. They want to go see the Vatican tour. You can sell them their, you know, hop to the front of the line Vatican tour and get a commission on it through the ARC Marketplace. So ARC Marketplace is destination activities, things you do at the destination. It's not airline related.
Okay, thank you. So we have several questions. One of our agents said that the ARC specialist expires in July. What needs to be done now? The rules have changed for someone who's expiring, coming up soon.
So yeah, one of the requirements of being an ARC agent or an ARC agency. One, I think, important point is we accredit agencies, the businesses, not individual agents. But each agency business that's accredited by ARC has to have an ARC specialist. And what that means is somebody who has taken a training program to understand the responsibilities of creating that weekly sales report to report your airline ticket sales. We changed the program this year. If you're ARC specialist, once you did it, it's good for 4 years. When it's expiring, we now have an annual requirement of just a 1-hour online webinar that you take on a topic. And this year's topic is fraud prevention, because we want to make sure every agency that's in the ARC system has someone who has, you know, seen an hour presentation on how to protect your business from fraud. So it used to be you had to do this every 4 years, and take a pretty long course, like it was like a 2-day course, we realized that just didn't make sense anymore. The way to reach people is more frequently and on a hot topic. Once you've gotten that initial specialist training.
Okay, excellent.
And if someone has a
I'm
question
sorry.
about that wasn't answered, I'm happy to, provide my email to you when you send the information out, and anyone can send me an email with these questions, and I'll get you to the right person who can give you probably a lot better answer than I just did.
Okay, excellent. We've had some questions about the VTC program. What is the fee to become a VT, a verified travel consultant?
It's just right around $200, and I can't remember actually if it's like 190 or 205, but it's right in that ballpark.
Okay. Let's see. I'm looking at some other questions. A lot of people are already using the ARC Marketplace, which is nice.
Excellent.
I want to just remind everyone, Joni Ogg tried to jump in here with dates for webinars that are coming up for fraud and travel agent fees and a couple of other things, but she was having some technical difficulties. So I just want to remind everyone that she will be mailing out dates for these specialized webinars, and I know there's a lot of interest in them. So watch your email for webinars about those special topics. Let's see. Just had somebody say that getting a VTC is $195. So Lori, you were right.
Thank you. There's a lot of numbers in my head about a lot of different things, so I'm glad to know I wasn't too far off on that one.
And to get the detail, we're getting questions about specific details about the VTC program. So can you just go over again the link where our agents can go and get all of that information?
If you go to our website and go to participation, there's that it'll take you through. It gives you 2 places to enter in whether you're interested in the VTC or getting a ticketing appointment. So all the information will be right on our arccorp.com/participation.
Okay, excellent. A lot of our questions are about VTC, so I hope all of you who have asked questions about that know where to go now. And I think that's about all of the new questions. So we're almost out of time as well. I want to thank you very much. Our guest today has been Lori Reiches, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for ARC. Lori, thanks so much. That was fantastic.
It was my very great pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
And thanks, everyone, for taking time out of your day to attend this webinar. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.